Next one. How do INF types overcome their need to be perfect? I feel like I criticize myself harshly over everything I do. It's almost like it's an addiction to be perfect. Okay, great question. The reason why people feel like they have to be perfect is because they have a wounding that suggests to them otherwise, that they're not perfect and that they're not something enough. INF types in particular have this wounding in their inner children, and it's generally linked to a thinking wounding. And it, the INFJ 10-year-old inner child is introverted thinking, who's very process oriented, and the INFP 3-year-old is outward facing thinker. So that's very much about being effective. And when we have our inner children making grown-up decisions in our lives, because they, the inner children, the INFJ 10-year-old and the INFP 3-year-old, they don't have a lot of foresight. So inner children generally don't have a lot of foresight because they're just not experienced in life and things and so on. What tends to happen is that they set unrealistic expectations for us as people, and then we fail on those things, and then because we fail, now we believe that we're a failure, and that wounding of not being good enough is being triggered within us. So that's basically what happens with the need to be perfect generally. Of course, there are variations of that, and if you have a variation and you want to discuss it, just put it into the comment section. So it is an effect. It can be an addiction to be a perfectionist and to berate yourself, because it's like a coping mechanism where if you berate yourself harshly enough, then anything that anybody else says is not going to hurt you. But the thing is that it's going to hurt you anyway, and you're still hurting yourself in the meantime. Perfection is actually impossible to achieve, not because you can't always do a better job, you can, but because if you spend, let's just say that you want to make a perfect ice cream cone, and in order to make it perfect, you're gonna just take your time to make sure that the amount of balls is right on the cone. It's kind of balanced so that it's easy to eat. By the time you have everything done perfectly, you sprinkle the hundreds and thousands or whatever onto it. It started melting already. You took too long. So doing anything perfectly is actually imperfection already. Doing something 80% is good enough, because after the 80%, you then start to spend more time on it than is necessary for it to be functional. Now, I'm not talking about nurses or people in the medical field, or I'm not talking about engineers or any of that stuff, like somebody once made this comment, but you're a nurse, you should know better. When somebody posted one of these, obviously I'm not suggesting that, you don't do as a perfect of a job with those things, or, teaching as you can, or when you're influencing another person. But what I will say is that most things are at their perfect. They find the perfect, the breaking point of the perfect when it's 80% done. So if you aim for 80%, then you'll probably get there in that time, and then you can take an extra 5 minutes just to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. So that's basically what you can do about it. You can understand that 80% is usually enough, and then just do a little bit more, but like literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. So not like another 5 hours or another 10 hours. It has to be functional. If it's functional, it's fine.